All right, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Everyone get their coffee? Yes. All right, sorry for that being a little bit late, but glad we got it. So, excellent day. Coffee was provided this morning. We have Texas Tech Video helping us out with what department?
Vice President for Research.
All right, so thank y'all for doing video. And today we have Victory Fitness Ranch. They are a fitness facility, just started in January, married couple, co-owners in the business, and they have a third partner as well. And so let's give them a standing ovation as they get started.
Not really sure we deserve that yet. But, thank you guys for letting us be here. In 2006, Felicia Gordon, along with her husband, had gastric bypass surgery. She weighed 284 pounds at the time. As a registered nurse, she had basic knowledge of what quote-unquote healthy people did as far as their habits. But she never translated that into her own life. And as an overweight person, she thought that weight loss surgery was going to be a quick fix for her, even though her surgeon told her that it wasn't. But in 1 year's time, she lost 102 pounds. Over the next few months, she had minor fluctuations in her weight. But a few years later, she noticed something tragic was happening, and that was that she was gaining all of her weight back. At that time, her career transitioned into that of a consultant. She was no longer a nurse, and so she had to travel a lot more. And she found that the physical requirements of constantly navigating airplane rides, airport terminals, baggage claims was just becoming more and more difficult for her. And she also realized at the time that she wasn't just overweight, she was unhealthy, very unhealthy. So she booked herself for 4 weeks at a weight loss resort. And during that time, she gained a lot of knowledge, a lot of understanding when it came to nutrition and fitness. Whenever she got home, though, she realized that the program could have been done better, much better. Because the facilities that she stayed at were really no better than a summer camp barrack. And while she was there, she noticed that there was no one that was helping her with the mental part of understanding and overcoming why she was eating poorly and why she was overeating. So whenever she got home, she called myself and my wife, Angie. My wife, Angie, is a certified personal trainer. I'm an IT professional. She contacted us, and we started Victory Fitness Ranch. So this is Felicia today. So Victory Fitness Ranch is a live-in weight loss resort. We're located just southwest of town. We're like a cozy bed and breakfast that cares about your health. So when you come to us, we help you understand that we're in the business of transforming lives, because we give you all the tools and the knowledge that you need to put you on a path to wellness and health. So we do all of the cooking and cleaning and teaching while our guests focus on themselves. And we use a threefold approach whenever we're helping our guests that we call eat well, move well, and think well. And everything we do centers around these three principles.
We have 2 chefs on site, and we do all clean eating. So just whole raw foods, taking our clients back to the source of where their food comes from. So it's no processing, it's free of toxins, low gluten, low sodium. We call it a gentle detox for our clients. We teach them to eat their basal metabolic rate, which is their BMR, plus 200 for working out, because our clients will go through 6 workouts a day. That brings us to move well. This is my area of expertise. We do a lot of high intensity interval training. It's the best for burning the most fat the quickest. We do a lot of functional movements with limited weights or no weights, because some of these people, all they need is their body weight. And so some of them have never even worked out before. So we're taking them back to the basics. And then we also place a big emphasis on rest and sleep, because we all know that we need that to maintain a healthy lifestyle. Then our Think Well portion, which is what Felicia does. She's an expert in this, and she teaches the Kaizen approach. The Kaizen approach is ask small questions, think small thoughts, take small actions, solve small problems. So she teaches our clients to figure out their current state. Why are they there? How did they get there? Then she teaches them, okay, what's your target state and how do we get there? What's the gap that is keeping you from getting there? What are the barriers that you've constantly encountered that have kept you from losing weight in the past? Then we put together a plan for success once they get home. And then this is what they follow as they go home. We also try to avoid fear-inducing words. So we use the word eat instead of diet, move instead of exercise, and think instead of change. And these are our 3 programs. Our 7-day program is our most beneficial. It's also our most popular program. Our 3-day program was just launched last month because people felt like some of them couldn't take off 7 days to do this. So we launched the 3-day program, and it's a condensed version of the 7-day. They don't get the hands-on cooking demonstration, they don't get the hike, and they don't get the grocery store tour with our certified nutritionist. Other than that, they get all the education. And then we also offer a Taste of Victory Day. This is for team building, corporate outings, girls' day out, bridal parties, anything that involves a group promoting camaraderie, things like that. So basically, we've brought together a whole team of people to help assist our clients on moving forward in their wellness journeys. We are excited to be the first to bring this to West Texas and into this area in general. We're excited to serve people in this way because we know that there's a really big need for this. Thank you.
So it was right at 6 minutes.
All right, and now begins the Q&A session. So can I start with the question, what are some of the biggest challenges y'all have been facing as you've been starting?
As we've been starting. I think that we made the assumption when we first started that we made the assumption that when we started that we would be able to use social media as our essentially only marketing. And we realized very quickly that generated some interest, but it wasn't enough to get ourselves out to the demographic that we were trying to reach. Because not that they don't use computers, but they're just not as active on social media as younger people who generally don't need our program.
The one thing is, this in any field, if it's a crowded market, fitness is a lot of things, a lot of gurus come, a lot of new methods, yoga, this and that. How do you differentiate? So if you have to be successful in a crowded market, either you have to be having a disruptive technology per se, or product differentiation. So is that the product differentiation you focus, that you offer this concept of eat well, think well, move well, or is that what you pride in, that you differentiate from others in the crowded field?
Our 2 primary differentiators are our accommodations, which I could pull up photographs from our website. You could see it and take a tour of our facilities there. But as I mentioned in my introduction, a lot of the facilities that offer the same service in other parts of the country, you're either staying in a kind of a sterile hotel environment or in a barrack-like environment, which really nothing different than like a military barrack or summer camp or something like that. But what we've got it's a converted residence. It's a 4,500 square foot residence. And so it's much more comfortable, relaxing. It's a sort of place where people feel like they can actually wind down. The second differentiator that we have is the last component of our program, the Think Well portion. Most of the time when you go to a weight loss resort or participate in a program similar to ours, they'll give you all the education you need. They'll cook for you and put you through multiple workouts, but you never really address the emotional or mental components of the ways that you're harming yourself in those areas. So so we use actually, because Felicia is an expert in change management, she's developed that portion of our program, and it's been really cool. The people that have stayed with us, whenever we asked them at the end of the week what was the most beneficial, and they said by far, more than the workouts and more than the food, even though the food is great, they said we really appreciated the time to sit down and reflect on how we got here, because we feel like that's going to be the most effective helping us go forward. Anyone who's participated in a fitness regimen, like on their own or even with a group, we all know that we have a tendency to kind of fizzle out over time. And so with this, the Think Well portion helps people to put together a plan so that when they go home, they have actual concrete steps they can follow when they get home. And we can go into other ways that we provide accountability to.
Can you tell us what the demographic is that you're really targeted at?
Yeah, the demographic is between 35 and 60 about. We see more on the 40 to 60 range, middle-aged people. We do have men that come, but we see a lot more women. And we have seen younger than 35. We've had a college student with us before as well. So, but the main one that we're targeting is about 35 to 60. So.
Can I ask what on the 3-day plan, what the functional medicine class is?
Yeah. The functional medicine class is, we've kind of partnered with Dr. Ben Edwards from Veritas Medical. His PA, his physician's assistant, Debbie Hernandez, we've brought her in. She's a good lifelong friend of Felicia's, and she teaches holistic medicine. So she teaches how food can be medicine. She just teaches more about the body and things like that. And she only teaches 2 classes on the 7-day program. So it's kind of an extra type thing. We're just making people more aware of their body, more aware of what they're putting in and how that is affecting them in the long term.
So there's a big emphasis on gut health and how that can, when you get that right, how that can improve the way that you feel, yeah.
Typically, how many people would you have like in a 7-day program within the house at any certain time? And are they weekly, like you start on Monday and end on a Sunday, or how does that?
Yes, yeah, we only take 8 guests, and we wanted to keep it small on purpose so that everyone could get individualized help while they're there. So it's double, I'm sorry, it's double occupancy every room. So we encourage people to bring a friend or a spouse or a loved one. And so they will come in for our 7-day program. They come in Sunday and they leave on Sunday. For our 3-day, they come in Thursday evening, and then they have all of Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So.
And I'm glad you asked that. It's one of the other differentiators that I forgot to mention is because we are so small and almost have like a boutique kind of resort feel to us, because we can only take 8 people at a time, that means our trainer to guest ratio is much, much lower than when you go to another one of the resorts. For example, one of the others that is a franchise, there can be as many as 75 guests in one class with a trainer, whereas the max you're going to get with us is 8. Yeah, and the price is the same.
Yeah.
Well, I want to first applaud what you're doing, and I've met some of your staff through the chamber, and I've worked in wellness in different aspects of it in Lubbock for 20 years, and it is very challenging here. And so anyone who's trying to help, I think is wonderful. But I had several questions. First of all, it is so challenging, and I've designed weight loss programs and things before, and what we found, I didn't know if you use actual or if you had access for these people to like licensed professional counselors or psychologists, because sometimes I think when people start down this journey, especially if they're morbidly obese and they're the ones that really need you, there are so many underlying issues. There are so many reasons they're eating, and we found things like, horrible abuse that they never acknowledged, just deep-seated issues where they really need counseling. So I didn't know if you had that. I didn't know if you used registered dietitians for your nutrition. It sounds like you're going a little holistic, but just using some basic science and math there. And then also just, do you have anything for maintenance once they leave? Because as you found, I'm sure already, it's just this is such a gift to them, but when they go back, how can they, make that permanent change?
Do you want to answer this?
All of them?
Sure,
Okay.
if you want.
I can't remember all of them. I'm trying to remember your first ones, but as far as ongoing support, we, like we said, we set them up with a plan to go home, and then we also, we have a private Facebook group once they've been with us. We, all of our chefs, our certified nutritionist is on there, which we had looked into registered dietitian before, but we went this route, and she's also our executive chef, so we kind of felt like it worked out good in that sense. But we also, so we do a private Facebook group once they leave. Everyone is on there, all the owners, and then all the personal trainers, staff, things like that. So it's kind of a forum for people to say, hey, I'm struggling with this, and people are using it. They're celebrating their small victories, and they're celebrating, and then they're also saying, I'm having trouble in this area, what can I do? Or they're reaching out to our chef privately and saying, hey, I need help with this, nutrition piece. So, so that's kind of what we're doing for that. What was your first question?
About the counseling for the deep-seated.
Yes. So we have a girl that works for us. She does our yoga, and she's also, she's about to get her license in counseling. And so we have thought in the future about bringing her on to do that kind of thing. Right now, what we're doing is, because Felicia's been through this experience, we feel like she has a lot of experience in that. And because she is the one that does the Think Well portion, a lot of the introspective work with these people, she's been able to really help them. Our certified nutritionist has also had a gastric bypass, so she's been through this as well. So we feel like we brought some people on board that can identify with our guests and really help them in the areas that they're struggling. But no, to answer your question, we don't have anyone yet as far as a counselor on site. So.
You mentioned your first challenge when you were talking about social media and that you weren't able to, really access those folks. So when you talked about your demographics, it seemed like it was from experience and kind of who you've seen. So how have you identified your targets and the best ways to get in touch with them and, turn that into marketing strategy, or have you been able to do that?
Yeah, so what we've done is, once we realized the sort of people that were most interested in our program, just like you said, we sat down and we thought about what the best ways would be to approach them. So we've worked also really closely with the SBDC. One piece of advice they gave us was to not try too many things at one time because you don't know what's working, right? So one opportunity kind of fell into our lap, which was to sponsor the Biggest Loser television show. So we filmed a commercial and ran a spot every week during that show. And then because of the way that we had done that, they also showed our commercial various times through the day. So that's one way that we were able to aim at that demographic, because that demographic was very, very interested in that show. So we did that. Another thing that kind of happened to us, I don't know the best way to describe it, but we were introduced to the host and the owner of a local radio station. And so he said, why don't you come on and talk about your program for an hour? And he called us later that week, and said, you guys were great. Would you come on every week? We'll give you guys a show. You can bring guests on. So that's another way, and his demographic actually lined up perfectly with the people who were listening at that time, lined up perfectly with people that we're aiming at. So we do a radio show every Monday, and we bring in guests that are either staff members or people that we are affiliated with, people who are like-minded in the wellness community here in Lubbock.
We're also doing some, I'm in charge of our social media, and we do a lot of boost, and so we've been targeting that age range through the boost, and we've seen some good feedback from it. So,
does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. What happens, down the line? Because y'all started in January, right?
Right.
A couple months ago. What happens down the line when people start talking to their friends? People get great results. It starts building up, and you got 20 people every single week that want to come in, y'all have that kind of a game plan?
Yeah, we
That's
do.
a great question, and we really hope that we have that problem.
We really do.
Yeah.
Well, we have 9 acres of property. So we're out in the country, kind of. We're considered in Wolford. So we have a pecan orchard in the back, and so we have this big property that we've actually, before we even opened, talked about expanding on. So it is an option in the future if we want to do that. But right now our program is available to run every week, and so if that's the problem, then hopefully we could. If it's not too specific to a week, we could just get them in one after another. So
Yeah, and then depending on where the people are coming from, like geographically, we've even talked about doing a similar renovation, purchase and renovation of a property, and setting up another, essentially another site, if it came to that.
Hey, tell us a little bit about the decision to go into business. How and why did you decide to start a business? What discussions did you have with each other and with other people? And I'm not asking anything deep and personal. Just tell us a little bit about why and how you decided to actually be entrepreneurs.
The short answer is that it's in our blood.
it totally is in mine. So I've started a few businesses. It kind of runs through my family. And so I already had a personal training business called X Factor Fitness. And I've been training up at Covenant for 4 years. And so anyway, so when Felicia came back, she called me up and said, I had this crazy idea. This is what I'm thinking. And of course I was like, that's every personal trainer's dream to do that. So we started kind of thinking about it and kind of asking questions to like our CPA and just different people that we trusted. And so then it just, we obviously talked about it. And as we kind of went through the steps, it kind of became like, okay, well, we're already doing this. Like we were beginning to do more and more things were coming together for us. Do you want to expand on that a little?
Yeah, so Angie's father was a small business owner. My parents were small business owners. Both pretty much your dad.
My dad still is.
Yeah, and so it was never, there was never any fear because we'd seen other people do it and do it well. And my biggest concern whenever we first started talking about it was that I didn't want to be one of those people that I see on Shark Tank who thought this is the greatest thing in the world and I'm about to be a millionaire. And so the last thing I wanted was just like to be in an echo chamber where my own ideas were telling me it was smart, right? So we set up appointments really early in the process with the SBDC, with the SBA, with as she mentioned, our CPA, and we started talking to people and said, are we crazy? Does this make sense? Is it a good idea? And the sort of feedback that we got was, yeah, this actually would be really good for this area. And so that took a lot of my concern away. But as far as going into, we did talk obviously about going into business, what it would do for us, because I have a full-time job. And so we knew that there was going to be a necessary balance that would have to take place between my full-time job, this full-time job, and then being a father and a husband, and then obviously all the work that Angie does taking care of our kids.
And then I'll just say too that Felicia and I both, and I know Josh does too, but we really have a passion to see people succeed and overcome barriers in this area of their lives. Just because she's been through it, and I've worked with people like this, and it's a hard journey, and so we feel like there's a need for this. So.
Is Felicia the third partner of it because that idea came from her?
Yes. She had the vision, and then we put it into action. So. Yeah.
How have y'all decided to go about funding? Have y'all done loans? Is it personal capital? Do you mind explaining
Both.
that?
Yeah, it's a mixture of personal funds and a loan. We took a loan. We went through the SBA and the SBDC to basically make a decision on what kind of loan made the most sense for us, and then we decided on a institution to borrow from. Met with them, talked with them, felt secure in what they were doing and recommending, and then we put in some of our own capital as well.
So with your funding and you've got the bought the property, you've got your loans and so forth, you've got, I want to know what your price points are on your programs, but are you comfortable with those price points now, or do you see that you're going to have to increase those soon or not?
So just to clarify, we didn't have to buy, well, we really didn't have to buy the property. It was Felicia Gordon's property. And her husband passed away last year, and they were already in the process of selling it before he passed. And so we just turned this gorgeous big house into this bed and breakfast. We really had to do minor renovations, and then the only thing we did do is it's an insulated barn, so don't be mistaken, but we turned it into a fitness facility. So there was really little money that had to go into that. But do you want to talk about the other half of that? Or?
What are the price points on your program?
Yeah, so our 7-day, we set the same price that we saw our competitors were at, which was roughly $3,000. So ours is $2,965 for the 7-day. We did an introductory discount to generate interest and get people in. Then Groupon approached us, and so we thought we would at least try it. So we're doing kind of a testing the waters marketing campaign with them. The benefit that they've brought is national exposure, which has been good because we immediately, the very first day, got a booking from Arizona, which was really cool. So I think price-wise, our intention is to, in the long term, be as close to that $2,965 as possible. But our margins will allow us to give discounts for groups or for people that we recognize that have a need for it, that we would be able to essentially give them a discount so that we can get them in and help them.
And the 3-day is $1,500 right now, and then the Taste of Victory is $450 per person. And we're seeing more on like the corporate side of that. We actually haven't ran any Taste of Victory days, but we do have some banks around town that are interested in things like that. I will say, someone asked, like, what are your struggles at the beginning? Maybe it was you. Our price points have been a struggle for us. So we've seen that our very first group that we had, we had a lot of people from the north fly in. And to them, it was like, oh, this is nothing. Like, I'd pay $29.65. And then the Lubbock local people were like, I'm not paying $29.65. And so that was like, okay. So that has been hard for us, and we're still trying to find that price point where we can still help people and still get paid, and make it work. So,
do you? Kind of a combo question of all that. I was going to ask you if you thought that becoming a destination would be part of like a future growth plan, but it seems like that's already happening. So. Can we peek in the future a little bit? Like, do you think this is a scalable thing? Is this something you want to grow on a larger scale because your model is unique? And then is educating the Lubbock market that big of a deal? I mean, if you do have people traveling in, I know this is the Planet Money the other day, there's a gym in New York that charges $500 a month, and it's a limited group of people, and they keep you accountable. Oh. It's not the gym model where they make money because you don't come. So, I mean, if that mindset's already out there and the people are going to come, is that really your market, or is local your market?
So, I hope this doesn't sound like a criticism, because it's not. But because of Lubbock, we kind of see tends to be about 5 to 10 years behind on most of the things that are happening, right? So in the space of wellness, is the things that have been going on in larger cities are just now kind of coming here. So I think that, yes, education is definitely necessary for the Lubbock market. In addition to that, I think as West Texans, we're very independent. And so the idea of having someone help us with something as intimate as our weight is a mental thing that has to kind of be overcome. So we do think that it's necessary to kind of help people locally understand. Our intention has always been to be a destination, because we think that Lubbock has a unique beauty, and we think that our property is also the perfect place for people to relax. So what we anticipate is that the Lubbock market will be probably our initial source of most of our customers. But over time, we see that as word of mouth spreads and as our social media footprint grows, that we'll bring in more and more people from outside of the area. We think long term, probably most of the people coming to our Lubbock site are going to be from outside the area. Just because we feel like, I feel like, the Lubbock market is going to be saturated fairly quickly with like, we're going to only get so many people in this area, even the surrounding areas, because we think that it's just really difficult for this area to kind of accept the kind of thing that we're wanting to do. So yeah, it makes perfect sense, right, that we would open it knowing that people would be not understanding what we're doing right off the bat.
But we are trying to draw on Amarillo, Midland, Dallas,
Yeah.
people that are 2 hours away or, you know, a quick flight from Dallas.
But because we're so small, we don't need a lot of customers to make it viable, which is what's been really great. You know, we don't need every person in Lubbock to come out to the ranch to keep us going. So.
Awesome. Thank you all for sharing.
Yeah.
And what we do with every presentation is we end with a question. What can we as a community do for you? And so.
You could talk about us. Yeah, you could tell people that you know in your life that are interested in making healthy decisions. Let them know about us. Refer them to our website where they can see our programs. If you're interested, you're more than welcome to talk with us after. Anything else?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah. If you've got ideas about.
Yeah, if you have ideas.
Yeah, if you're one of those people that thinks I don't need this, come talk to me and we'll see what we can. Why you think that? So.
Or if you have ideas about just what we can do or to be better, anything like that, we're open to that as well.
That's right.
So.
Fantastic. Thank y'all. Let's
Thank
go
you.
Thank y'all.
All right, so that concludes today's session. As always, check out our website. We have all these videos posted. We usually get them up. And then also, feel free to apply and present. We're still looking for more and more people to do that. We're happy to walk you through it and even help you get the most out of presenting. So we've learned a lot. So thank y'all.
Thank
Should I
you.
have a copy on the